Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Hit the Bid here on October 12th. This is Ty Robbie here with your Week 41 Market Watch. Tonight we're going to run through our charts and see what happened across the markets in the last week and be on the lookout for opportunities and events waiting for us as we move into Week 41. So let's get started here. Got our December live cattle on the board. We did see a nice strong week in the cattle markets last week as we did see both feeders and fats push higher for 5 days straight. This December live contract opening up down here below the 235 mark and having a nice strong push here on Monday, getting that close above that 236.5 key level, which we'd been trading around for the past 2 months. Nice strong finish there above it on Monday. Had smooth sailing here for the rest of the week for the bulls. We did see this market just coast right up there into the 240s here and close this week at new highs. We did see all these 2026 contract months closing at new all-time highs, showing great relative strength in this cattle market. Given the tariff talk and situation that we saw here early on Friday and how this cattle market responded, finishing up there at new highs just speaks to the strength of this cattle market at the moment. We should see this market just continue to keep on sailing here into new all-time highs. We should see this December contract print new highs here as it still has yet to get above this all-time high back here from the 27th of August. However, it should be pretty smooth sailing. A lot of good strength out there into 2026. Look for this cattle market to keep on rolling as the bulls are in control here and keeping this big picture uptrend intact. Next up, we got our November feeders. We did see this market also rolling here, picking up a good chunk here, picking up about $5-6 here throughout Monday through Thursday's action, just chunking day by day. We did see this market open up here above that prior Friday's high and just open the doors to nice smooth sailing to new all-time highs in this feeder market. This thing was showing good support here at this 20-day moving average, while that live cattle market was trading closer to the 50 down here, showing good support down here at 350. This market trading right here through these prior week highs, getting a finish here midweek above these prior 2-week highs. And from there is just smooth sailing up there to 376.75, which is that new all-time high in this November contract. A little bit of volatility there on Friday, given that tariff talk as well. However, seeing good support down here near Thursday's low, and this market just responding, pushing this thing back up to new all-time highs. Like that fat cattle market, speaks to the strength of just this entire cattle market in general. We should see these prices keep on pushing. We look out here into the 2026 contract months, still looking steady. Really solid gains all week long, picking up even more in these back months on Friday. Just once again, very strong action here in this cattle market. Should be pretty smooth sailing here up into new all-time highs. Look for these feeders to start heading towards $4. December corn futures on the board now. We did see last week just a pretty quiet week to start before this corn market got a little bit slippery late. We did see Friday's action pushing us down here below these range lows at 415. Getting a close down here. We failed to get that over the past couple of weeks. We did see a brief probe of those range lows. However, this market pushed it right back out. But given the volatility and action that hit the markets here on Friday, looks like we could see that be the final nail in the coffin for this corn market, and should see this thing start drifting back down here towards $4 with this close below 415. Bears need to keep pushing down here below 412. From there, it should just see this market make a nice steady drift down here towards $4 and potentially new contract lows. However, if this market trades back above 415, price could continue to get sticky down here between this 415 and 430 mark. But last week, just a pretty choppy week all week long before finally seeing that thing slip, and that weekly close down there looks like this thing could be taken back over by the bears and just see these prices continue to drift lower. Crude oil prices showing nice rejection last week. We did see this thing push back up here above that 62 mark. A good rejection at that 20-day moving average here. Middle of the week before seeing a nice sell-off here into the close of the week. We did see this market showing good rejection up there at that 20-day moving average over these couple days before seeing some selling action coming in here on Thursday. And then Friday's tariff talk really just accelerated things, pushing this thing right down here below 60 with the low of the week coming in down here at 58.22. Given the little bit of a walk back that we saw tonight here by President Trump, looking like the situation may not be as bad as it seems. So this market is just kind of relieving a little bit of that selling pressure that we saw here at the moment. Big wide range day here on Friday, though. Still going to be some volatility in between Friday's high and low, as we did see pretty wide ranges after a relatively very low volatility environment in this oil market. Could see this thing continue to chop up down here around 60 and adjust to any new news that we might be getting this week, as this crude oil market was obviously very responsive to it. We should see this market kind of chopping up in between here. However, if we do get continued selling pressure below 58, look for this thing to keep on drifting lower down into the low 50s. And the big one this week is the S&P and equity indexes in general. Really big slap to the equity markets on Friday, given that tariff talk. We did see all week long this market just trading in a nice steady range here between 6,800 and 6,750, which was that prior week's bear pivot there from Friday's low. We did see this market just chopping up, building up a lot of inventory here in that about 50-point range. Friday's action was off to a relatively good start, seeing a nice push here early, a little bit of support here, and then that tariff tweet hit the news, and we saw a nice steady sell-off from there on out. 6,800 and 66 trading in the same day, all the way down to the low at 65.40. We did see this market with a lot of volatility, steady selling pressure all week or all day long there on Friday, with that close below the 50. Not a good look here, technically speaking. However, given the tariff walkback that we discussed with that crude oil market, this equity market obviously responding nicely to that, and we should see this market continue to trade here in between this big range here we saw on Friday. Got a lot of volatility and orders to chew up here. We could see some pretty wide ranges here for a minute. Also, this market is obviously once again going to be very responsive to any sort of talk of tariffs. So be on the lookout for any of that mess. But at the moment, this market was in the middle of a pretty strong run here since those April lows. So a little bit of a pullback here and a shakeout below that 50 was probably exactly what this market needed. We could see a pullback all the way down here to a good healthy pullback here in that 7 to 10% range. Could take us all the way back down here towards these prior all-time highs from last year and that quarter one highs right around the 61.60 mark. This would be a good spot for some good deep value buys, and in case there is any sort of continued volatility this week and we do see some more downside, nice steady pullback down into this level, should see good support down into there. So we are going to keep our bias at the moment neutral until we can get a little bit clearer situation and see how the markets are going to respond to the tariff situation in the week ahead. So at the moment, we've had a pretty nice run here throughout the first or the last 6 months. This pullback here is maybe something to make you take some chips off the table a little bit here and wait out some of this volatility. This market still has very good strength, and looking out into the end of the year, we still do expect to see higher prices and this big picture uptrend intact. However, this market is just going to be very volatile in response to any sort of tariff news at the moment, so it might not be a bad time to lock in some of these gains that we've seen from a very giving last 6 months here. So could see continued volatility here. Also seeing this NASDAQ pulling all the way back off of these all-time highs here on Thursday to that 50-day average. Once again, though, these indexes responding very nicely here this evening following Trump's tweet regarding this China situation. We'll have to wait and see how the market's going to respond this week. So look for some nice wide ranges inside Friday's range. But in the meantime, we do still expect to see higher prices over the long term and a nice, strong, healthy, big picture uptrend to keep intact here into year end. Just want to be aware of any volatility as we move into week 41. As far as big news events this week, CPI report has been delayed until the 24th of the month. We also have non-farm data and jobs data that has been kept getting delayed. However, that is going to keep getting canceled as long as the government remains shut down. So not a whole lot of volatile events to expect in terms of scheduled news releases. However, just want to keep your eye on your X feed to see what the president has to say about any tariff situation. That's going to be the biggest news event to watch. Also have Jerome Powell speaking on Tuesday, so the market will be also looking to see what the chairman of the Fed has to say about what's been going on. That's all we got for this week. Should be pretty smooth sailing here in the cattle market, as prices should keep on grinding into those new all-time highs. We do have some volatility in a lot of these other markets to shake out and see how that's going to respond. But at the moment, looking like things aren't as severe as they seemed there on Friday since the news we've seen tonight regarding the tariff situation. So that's all we got for week 41 Market Watch. Thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you guys tomorrow night for closing comments.